Hi, my name's Caroline. Welcome to my channel. I thought I'd talk to you today about affirmations. So about 12, 14 years ago, affirmations sort of became the new buzzword, and there was a lot of information out there all of a sudden about sort of really positive thinking and manifesting and abundance. And the book The Secret was sort of the latest craze, and everyone was buying it and sort of madly writing out post-it notes and putting them all around their room, or maybe that was just me. So I invested a lot of time and energy into writing out affirmations and saying sort of positive phrases to myself to try and convince myself that I could be a millionaire in a year as long as I just keep telling myself I can be a millionaire and I can find true love, and I can live in an amazing house and all the other things that at the time were super important to me. And absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I don't think that there was any harm in doing that. It's certainly better than, the mindset of I'll always be poor, I'll always be alone, I'll never live in a nice house. So I certainly don't regret that time that I invested into all of that positive energy. But yeah, I wonder what you guys think. Did you spend lots of time doing that? Did you invest time and energy? Did it work? Do you think it made a difference? I had pretty much written the idea of affirmations off, to be honest. And certainly in terms of my counsellor training, we did a little bit of work on CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, and part of that work is to look at if you've got negative thoughts and about turning them around into more positive perspectives. But that's actually only a really small part of the work that I do, mainly because generally, although it's going to be very detrimental to your mental health if you are constantly thinking those negative thoughts, generally you can't, in my experience, you're not going to completely change those thoughts until you've addressed the root issue and why those thoughts are there in the first place. And so for me, in my process, my work with my clients, it would be acknowledging that you have those thoughts and feelings, but then trying to understand where they came from. So rather than kind of trying to ride roughshod over those thoughts, to actually acknowledge that you're having those thoughts, but to try and understand why you might feel like that, why you might think like that. Whereabouts is that coming from? Is it someone else's voice from your childhood in your head? Were you bullied at school? Did you have relationships whereby you were perhaps made to feel second best? Did you have experiences in your formative years that meant that as you become older, those negative thoughts and feelings have lingered, or perhaps they've re-emerged after something not very nice has happened? And certainly a lot of people through the pandemic have started to get a re-emergence of some of these really negative thoughts and the anxiety and depression that often can accompany them. But I decided to revisit the idea of affirmations quite recently, because I actually believe that there is some power in that. And although I think it's important to not ignore the reasons why we have these negative views. I also think that if you're in a space in your life whereby generally everything is not terrible, so if you're at a space where you're kind of on a fairly even keel, but you are still waking up and feeling, actually, I just don't feel great. And obviously, as long as, if there's any health issues, you're having those looked at. And of course, I would always recommend going to see a therapist to talk deeper stuff through. But just on a day-to-day basis, can we help ourselves to improve our mindset? Can we help ourselves to just feel a little bit better, a little bit more hopeful about the day ahead? And that's when I did a little bit of research on it. I came across this idea of affirmations rather than affirmations, because generally what I found is that if I'm sitting there saying to myself, "Oh, I am worthy, I am lovable, I am rich, I am driving an amazing car, I am whatever it is I want to attract into my life," straight away I can hear another little voice in my head going, "Well, you're not. Well, that's not true, is it?" And that's just creating a resistance, because I'm saying these phrases and I know they're not true, so I'm not actually being authentic to myself. And part of the process of therapy is about getting in touch with your authentic self. So you're kind of almost lying to yourself when you're saying those affirmations. And I believe that a part of myself was saying, well, none of that's true. Why are you feeding me this stuff when that's not true right now? So this idea of affirmations isn't telling yourself something. It's about asking yourself questions. And I've used this in the past when I've wanted an answer to something. So as, for example, setting up a business, if I've wanted an answer to that process or an idea of, what would be the best way to do something within that business, the idea is, especially doing it just before you go to bed, to ask yourself that question. What would be the best way for me to set up this business? Who would be the best business partner? What would be an idea that might be really successful? What might I like to do for the rest of my life that I'm going to be really interested in, that I'm going to feel really passionate about, and that's going to make me a lot of money? And because our minds are designed, they're answer creating machines. And this is often used in NLP to really help us to train ourselves to bring up the best answers possible for ourselves. And so instead of telling ourselves what we want, how about asking our minds to show us how we can bring that into our lives, into our existence? So obviously it depends what you want to attract in, but how about asking questions such as, how comes I'm becoming so rich? How comes my new therapy business is so successful? How am I attracting so many clients that I've had to shut my business? I've had to shut my books. How am I attracting hundreds of thousands of pounds into my bank account? How am I able to give away all of my superfluous money to charity? What am I doing that is enabling me to afford to live in this 4-bedroom detached house with a beautiful garden, pond and a nice car. Where am I going today where I might meet the man of my dreams? What food can I eat today that will make me feel healthy and will help me to lose weight? What would be the best exercise for me to do for the next few years that will enable me to feel strong and healthy and relaxed, and will be good for my mental health? So those are a few ideas, some of which I might be using. Yeah, and I mean, one of the other things you can do, if you have a voice note recorder app on your phone, really easy to download, is after you've decided what questions you would like to ask yourself, how about recording yourself saying those affirmations and then just listening to them? It doesn't have to be for, a super long time. You could do it whilst you're, I don't know, making dinner, doing the ironing, tidying up, putting your makeup on, doing your gardening, times in which it's not going to take up additional time in your day. There are some YouTube videos where people have recorded themselves repeating affirmations, which might be helpful, but obviously they're not then going to be tailored specifically for you. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you've used affirmations or affirmations, and let me know if they've been helpful. I'd be really interested to know. And yeah, hope you have a good day, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.